Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are going to have a look at all of the news, which is basically official. Earlier today we had a look at a lot of the data mines, and now we're going to have a look at the changelogs, we're going to have a look at the specials that are going on, and then also the vehicles that are returning, the premium ones that you can buy. There's been a lot going on the last few days, and a lot of it basically is set up for what's going to come in the next few weeks. So look forward to it. We'll cover all of it on the channel, as we always do, and it's going to be very hectic. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. The first piece of news I want to cover is an update. This is 2.49.0.73. The reason I want to talk about this is because there was a data mine about some STRv122 changes, and it looks like Gaijin have clarified what's kind of going on with them. So the Makava Mark IVs and also the STRv122s, so these are all of their variants, there was a bug that caused the composite armor on the turret roof to be treated as a solid sheet of steel when calculating protection against high explosive shells, which could result in an overestimated protection at certain angles of attack, and that has been fixed. Previously, due to this bug, these tanks could, for example, survive hits to the turret roof by heavy air-fired missiles and also large-caliber bombs. Now, there was a big discussion about this because of the fact that they'd nerfed these vehicles, and obviously that is bad. But the thing is, they weren't actually nerfing them in that way. They were just bringing them in line with everything else that exists. So if anything, these two vehicles were overperforming, or these two sets of vehicles were overperforming compared to what they should have been, and therefore now they're at the same standard as everyone else. And the reason why they were overperforming is because they were bugged. And because Gaijin have fixed this bug, this created a massive aggression when people started seeing the data mine, because the data mine just said that, of course, the materials are being changed or that they are being lessened, and a lot of people took that as, why are they nerfing these vehicles? And sometimes this is why it's incredibly important to kind of wait for the change logs or wait for clarification on why certain things are changed. Because when you change certain values in the game, it isn't necessarily for no reason, and this happens a lot when it comes to War Thunder. So I really wish when it came to data mines, people were just a little bit more cautious in terms of like just jumping to conclusions, because a lot of it always seems just like people just think that Gaijin are just nerfing their favorite vehicles just because, you know, they hate them or something. And there's just so much of it around, and it just absolutely sucks. But so with the 122s and with the Mark IVs, they're actually bringing them in line with everything else, not just nerfing them for no apparent reason. They were bugged. Now they're not bugged. That is a positive. For the interface, there's a bug that prevented the action to spawn an aircraft with a nuclear bomb from appearing in the action panel when playing as the launcher of a multi-vehicle SAM system, so you basically just couldn't get the nuke. I mean, it's good that they fixed that. There's also a bug on ground vehicles where the laser warning direction indicator was displayed incorrectly if the vehicle's hull was not pointing directly at the source, which is just wild. They've had so many issues with the LWS systems, or the LWR systems. I don't know what's been going on with them, but there's been so many little bugs with them for even just a long period of time. They finally fixed the one which the actual kind of when you get detected or when you get pinged with the laser, it actually disappears now after a period of time, where previously it would just get stuck on your kind of hood. So thank God they've done that, but this is another bug that they've also had to fix. There was also a bug where the radar indicator on aircraft could sometimes freeze and also stop updating its state when switching to selected radar targets, and that has also been fixed. So overall, very positive to see these things going on. There was also a replay bug fixed. Replays have probably been one of the parts of the game that obviously are quite underutilized, like not a ton of people use them, but at the same time, they've had massive improvements in terms of many different things, right? Like the simple fact is, now that you can rewind, now that you have the kind of sensor mode, it's actually really cool how much they've done to it. And they fixed another bug, which is where the free camera in replays will become detached from the player after they respawned, and that's been fixed. So another nice little bug that they've sorted out there. Also, it seems to be a Navy day for Gaijin. There's a bunch of naval stuff going on. Earlier, we had a look at the fact that there was a pre-order decal for the Nagato with the Tora stuff, and also there are 2 ships which are coming back. Basically, we have the 220th anniversary of the Battle of Trafalgar, and the emblem of the HMS Victory 1765 decal you can actually get now for it. Basically, from the 21st of October until the 24th of October, all you got to do is earn 3,000 mission points in battles where you use British coastal or blue water vessels, and you can get yourself access to it. The 2 vehicles that are also on offer are in the British tech trees. You have the Fairmile D5001, which I'm pretty sure was like one of the initial boats that was added by Gaijin. I might be wrong about that, but for some reason that rings a bell. No idea why. And then the other one is actually celebrating something else. It's celebrating the Canadian Navy Day, or basically just the establishment of the Canadian Navy. So what they've ended up doing is bringing back the HMCS Haida. It's temporarily available with a 30% discount for 3,416 Golden Eagles. So 2 ships are back for good old Britain. Let's have a look at them and see if they're worth it. So the first vehicle that's on offer is the HMCS Haida. The Haida is an interesting vehicle because it is a tribal class destroyer, but it's at rank 3. Whereas the standard tech tree tribal class destroyer, the Eskimo, is at rank 2. This means that you can do all of the dailies and all of the specials with this thing, which is actually really nice. And the other thing is, it has really stiff competition at the 4-7 area for Britain. But if you don't have the Tobruk or the Armada, it means that you can bring it at rank 3 and basically do both of your dailies and specials with the Kelvin, the Nepal, and also the Eskimo, even the Abdeel, which is there now, and then all of the other 4-7 British destroyers. So it is kind of nuts in that way. This means that it has really good rewards in terms of SL and also general RP, meaning that it's a great grinder for the standard tech tree. So the thing about the Haida is it has a really nice gun armament. You have 3 dual-mounted 4.7-inch guns. You have an extra set of kind of funny guns here, which are the 4-inch guns, and then also you have access to the quad 40mm and a bunch of 20s too. For 4.7, it works very well. You have a lot of different rounds when it comes to the standard guns, mainly the SAP, which is the most useful, and also a good fire rate in general. It's very much a middling destroyer in terms of this area for Britain. But you have so many different options, it is kind of crazy. Basically, you have these 2, which have the same main armaments, just in slightly different areas. The Armada and the Tobruk are the most interesting ones, because these are the vehicles which are much more kind of AA orientated. So they're better for like secondary kind of spawns or tertiary spawns, because they have all of the A on the back and then also the main guns on the front. But they have less main guns, but they usually have a higher fire rate. And then when you break into the 5.0s, the Diana and the Daring, these are just better all around. So the Haida actually, I think, works pretty well at 4.7. If you compare it to the Abdeel, which is the light cruiser, this one has the lower caliber guns with a higher fire rate. The Kelvin, once again, has pretty much the same setup as the Haida, just a worse secondary armament. The Nepal is basically the same as the Haida, and the Eskimo is the same too. So I actually think if you're looking for a vehicle to run at rank 3 and also battery rating 4.7, it's a pretty good pick. The only things that are getting in your way is obviously you have the Cadets, which is the standard version of these guys, and whether you actually want a 4.7 destroyer right now because of how jumbled up the matchmaking is, because there's just so many different things kind of all over the place. If you actually get the matchmaking of 4.7, or if you play a lot of 3.740, you'll do great in these machines, especially with the main armament that this has. The only issue with it is, of course, as I said before, you have this 4-inch set of guns, but also the actual angle that this back turret has is pretty weak, so most of the time you're going to be stuck with just these guns kind of here, unless you angle quite aggressively to the side. But I actually think the Haida is a good pick, just because of its rewards, and it's always going to be useful for the dailies and also the specials. The Fairmile D, the 5001, is a 2.7 vehicle for the coastal side of good old Britain. Now, 2.7 is a very contentious BR. The reason for this is because the starter destroyers, basically the reserves, start at 3.7. And this is kind of across the board. You have 3.3s and 3.7s, which are all there. This means that when you use a 2.7 vehicle in coastal, you will go up against a lot of destroyers. And they will, guess what, destroy you, because you can't really do anything against them. And this means that this BR of like 27, 30, and 33 is heavily dangerous to coastal vehicles because there is massive imbalance in the setup. I wish it wasn't the case, but unfortunately it is. And because if you have a look at naval in general, the most popular area is kind of the start of the blue water tech tree. It means that stuff like the Fairmile just gets eaten alive. Now, the Fairmile itself, it has no survivability. It's made of wood, has no crew, dies very, very quickly. But one of the things that it does have, compared to a lot of its compatriots at this BR, is it has 57mm guns. It has a 6-pounder on the back, and also it has one on the front. These actually have some pretty good fire rate, and since the standard weaponry at this BR is usually a 40mm, you can actually use this shell, which you only get HE, but it's good enough against everything apart from armored boats and once again destroyers. It means that you can actually outrange a lot of vehicles that you usually face in the coastal area. Now, the way that you usually play coastal, though, is just to smash, smash, smash into each other and hope for the best. And you can't really do that in the Fairmile D. You have to kind of stay back and then, use the guns from range. But if you're able to do that effectively, you can work this thing really well. The one thing I will say, though, is pretty much every single Fairmile in the tech tree has gone down in BR significantly over the last period of time, whether it's this one, this one, this one, or even this one. As somebody who has also spaded the D697, which is basically the standard tech tree version of the D5001, which is at a lower rank, which kind of sucks, they're just not in a good place. They don't feel good. They have not enough speed, they have not enough survivability, and also the maps just do not fit them at all. What they're designed for is kind of mid-range, long-range fights with coastal vehicles. And a lot of coastal vehicles that are meta that people use are a lot faster, they move around a lot quicker, and also they generally can also shoot at the same range too. So the Fairmile just gets annihilated. I've actually really struggled to actually try and grind out this one, the Fairmile C332, and this is the last Fairmile I have because of the fact that you just have such a horrific time surviving. And the fact is, with these types of vehicles, survivability is very important because the longer that you live, the better your rewards will be. But in the Fairmile, that's pretty much impossible to do. In terms of premiums for the kind of British, I think the Spey's in a lot better place, the Whitby as well, and even the Orla with its 76mm gun and also its actual steel armor, which helps it quite a lot. So yeah, the Fairmile is not in a great place, and I wish it had more survivability, but at least in the current meta, it doesn't. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.